My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
We acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Welcome to This Song Is Yours. We're a music podcast that chats to artists, musicians and creatives on their songwriting craft and upcoming projects. I'm your host Simon Fink and welcome to episode 267. Joining us on the podcast today is the lovely indie pop star Thomas Headon. The Aussie-born but UK-based songwriter and producer made a very welcome return last week with a brand new EP, which was titled 6 Songs That Thomas Headon Likes and Thinks You Would Like Too. It's a brilliant EP, it is well worth your time, and you can find where to stream it in the podcast show notes. While you're there streaming Thomas's music, please give our new Spotify show This Song Radio a follow. We had artist Delwater Gap on the show on Monday and discussed his acts to catch at Splendour in the Grass, and we also played some music of his as well. Make sure you're following us across all of our socials to stay up to date with all of our upcoming guests, and as mentioned before, all of our details are in the episode show notes. Our guest today is Thomas Headon. The cheeky London-based but Australian-raised songwriter made his way back to the UK in 2020 to pursue music full-time and ended up finding a devoted following of fans who love him for his catchy melody writing, his honest charm and his storytelling ability. The press also seemed to love him, with some referring to him as the Gen Z Matty Healy, while others simply acknowledge his banging tunes and rising star within the industry. Having released a handful of EPs over the years, he graced us last week with a brand new one. It's titled 6 Songs That Thomas Headon Likes and Thinks You Would Like Too, and it's another fantastic piece of work from the young musician. In today's episode, we're talking to Thomas about attending gigs with his sister, how often he tends to make it home to Australia, and his beginning in songwriting. We also discussed this brilliant EP and the possible forthcoming full-length record that may or may not be in the works. We'll let Thomas tell you all about that. And we also probe him to see whether we'll be getting any Thomas Headon gigs on Australian shores anytime soon. We've put all of Thomas Headon's details in the episode show notes so you can stream his music and follow him across all of his social media. And we want to say a massive thank you to a different Thomas from Warner Music Australia for his help with this episode. Here is our conversation with Thomas Headon.
Can make me. What album have you there?
We've got.
Is that
what have we got? We've got Arlo Parks. We've got Boy Genius.
Nice man.
I did have a backup. I know that your sister used to take you to.
What have we got?
I think 1975 gigs.
Great, love it. How old's that? Is that's not a repress or anything? That one.
I'm actually not sure. It only arrived on the doorstep yesterday, so I have to do some more digging for those details.
No, I love it. Great, man. Big call. Big call.
For anyone who's not aware, please welcome to This Song Is Yours, Thomas Headon. Sir, hello. How are we?
Hello, Simon. I'm very well. It's almost 9 a.m. here in London, so I'm well. How are you?
Look, I can't complain for let's not say a young man, but I can't complain. It's a lovely day.
It's 21, so.
Stop it, you. Look, we very much appreciate your time with us, Thomas. It's an extremely exciting time. There's a brand new EP out. Firstly, congratulations on this. It is called 6 Songs That Thomas Headon Likes and Thinks That You Would Too. And I have to agree, we do like them. So the title is spot on.
Thank you. I'm very glad you do. I appreciate it.
Look, of course, I'm very curious. Before we get into the the nitty-gritty of this EP, I'm curious where the title came from and when you kind of stumbled across this this brilliant name for an EP.
You know, a lot of my close team weren't very happy with it initially, but I managed to get away with it because, I think my last EP was super, not serious, but I a lot of it was personal, really personal stories, and like all very like it made so much. It was my life at the time, this and that and everything. But this one has just been like 6 to 8 months of me gathering songs that I really like. And there was no way to make it, in my opinion, especially before album territory, which I'm entering now, there was no way to make it fit into some big, like, the music videos of this because this happened to me. Like, it's just, it is what it is, which is a bit of a joke, which is just 6 songs that I really like. So I called it that appropriately, which I'm happy with. I got away with it.
You have, and I think it does work well. It's almost giving the listeners instructions on that they're to enjoy it, and like I kind of think it works. So you've done well. Thank you.
I'm glad you guys got your tick of approval.
When you're, I guess, when you're kind of compiling these songs and working out whether they're going to be released as a smaller body of work, is there? And obviously we don't want to get the label in trouble here. That's not what we're here to do. But are you ever finding you're trying to look for an overarching theme, or you're trying to put it into a certain box? Or is it just these songs obviously have just been 6 different songs that seem to work well with one another, but are you ever finding that you're trying to shape the songs into something that they're maybe not?
Totally, 100%. And due to no one's, I know you said about label, but actually due to no one's fault but my own, I think, just because I don't take a lot of myself very seriously in a lot of ways. My Instagram story is probably the best version of that. But I think with my last EP, because I took it so seriously, and so like there was an overarching theme and there was real stories and this and that, I think I lost a bit of myself in the, like, not like in a dark, deep way, but like in just a way of like, I think people would, not really other people, I just myself, it was too serious. And I think this time now, even though there's no overarching theme, I'm so much happier that I think that is the overarching theme, that there is nothing, there's no serious motive around it or anything. It's just more so a reflection of me, especially in my life at the moment, in which I'm just, everything is kind of chill, knock on wood. But, it's fun, it's happy, it's summery, the songs are good songs, upbeat, that I like. So, I think I'm also just trying to find stuff because I feel like there needs to be, rather than anyone else. But this time I said, fuck it. Can I swear? I hope so.
I have no issue with that. Please go for it.
Great. Yeah. I think that's it.
It is a very, very fun EP. It's very summery, as you said, and I know that there's a lot more work that goes into it for just one music journalist to kind of condense it down to fun. But there is I want to say almost like a spirit on this EP that is this kind of carefree nature. I think that's best embodied in the singles like Georgia and 2009 Toyota. From my understanding, when you kind of went into songwriting for some of these songs, there was an element of just going with vibe and then kind of working backwards from there, if I'm correct.
Yeah, definitely. I think, and that, like, I think that has been making this EP a million %. Songs like 2009 Toyota were made in Australia, actually, and after a week long of sessions with my friend Taka, who I made it with, in which, we were writing songs like I Loved a Boy, about like this like breakup that my friend was going through, and then other songs about, not that I did Georgia with Taka, but Georgia was like saying like it's big, the girl's name is also a US state, but it's not her name, it's still a state, so we chose Georgia, that. And 2009 Twitter was just like, we're just gonna fucking word vomit and write, and if it's cool then it's cool, and it worked out. And so I think I think that's something I want to do again, I think, because also it can lead you in places that you don't think that you could not go to, but like, I don't know, write songs about. It doesn't always have to be entirely honest or truthful about me or my life. So I think I definitely I want to keep doing that, I think. There's nothing wrong with it either, which I just wanted to say for myself rather than anyone else. I'm good at my job. I'm really good. Don't worry, guys.
This is not a KPI meeting. You are keeping your role, Thomas Headon, so you are safe. I'm curious, when you do songwrite like that, does the process, once you've kind of got it started, I imagine it's a lot easier, but sitting down and kind of getting motivated or in the zone, if you will, do you find that part difficult when you're kind of removing some of the structures that you might have previously relied on?
Maybe like subconsciously, because I think it's easy to forget what the song's about. So you are like, whoa, this doesn't make any sense. But I starting it, not really, no. I think the biggest thing I've found recently, which is probably where 2009 Toyota came from, if I'm thinking back correctly, is Pinterest is a great place to just scroll until you find something a teenager has written on a bathroom wall. And then, so you're like, oh, this is... and I think that's probably where 2009 Toyota came from. It was probably something about a gold plate or a Toyota. So starting it, I don't think it's much more difficult. But I think probably mid-song, I can't rely on exact examples, but I think mid-song, there's definitely probably been times in my life that I've done that, and I've stopped mid-song and been like, wait, I don't understand what I'm doing. So I would say yes, but I also don't know. It's a really shit answer. I'm really sorry. But
no, don't you dare apologize. I'm curious. Are you on? Do you have a burner Pinterest account, or are you on Pinterest Loud and Proud?
Oh, I think I'm on Pinterest Loud and Proud. Wait, let me check it. No, I am. It's me. I have 79 followers. I'm moving up in the world. Yeah, a lot of this is really old stuff, but I don't publicly save stuff anymore. I do it in private now.
No, look, that is very fair. You've got to kind of keep some of those. You've got to keep something private to you and personal to you. So I can appreciate that.
Yes, that's my goal.
Before, you just mentioned Taka, who, as you said, you wrote in Australia with him. I know that you've previously collaborated with one of the guests that we've had on this very podcast, the lovely Lizzie McAlpine. I'm curious for yourself, what does a good collaborator kind of entail for you? Or for you, what qualities are you looking for in a good collaborator?
I think I've got such a core team of people now that I do a lot of stuff with. And I think all of them, it's different for everyone. I think for me, it's definitely more so.
It took a lifetime to find the person you want to marry. Finding the perfect engagement ring is a lot easier. At BlueNile.com, you can find or design the ring you've always dreamed of with help from Blue Nile's jewelry experts who are on hand 24/7 to answer questions, and the ease and convenience of shopping online. For a limited time, get $50 off your purchase of $500 or more with code LISTEN at BlueNile.com. That's $50 off with code LISTEN at BlueNile.com.
Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
It sounds really lame, but everyone I collab with is much more a friend than is like a work like mate. And I think, especially at the moment, while I'm going into like making an album territory, everyone that I am doing it with, I can't not like have a beer with or have a coffee with or if something's not working, just stop and say, fuck it, let's go do something else, which is really nice. So I think all of them, I mean, that's the biggest thing for me, aside from the fact that obviously they're just the most talented people that I've ever met. And I'm like so gracious to know, basically. So yeah, I think that's the biggest thing for me, just because, especially when creating stuff, I think shit goes wrong. Like you can't control whether the song works great or doesn't. And yeah, I guess you can sit there all night and decide whether the lyric is and or but. But I just think, I'm a big fan of when it gets to that point, it's like, what are we doing? This is not, let's give it a rest for today, or just like start something new. And I think if there's no comfortability to do that and be like, let's give up, then I don't know, it's not right. For me personally, I think that's my biggest thing. And it's taken me a long time to know that. I think earlier in my career, I used to say to a lot of people in sessions and like in situations like this about collaborating, I used to be like, I don't like it. I like doing everything by myself in my bedroom. But I think that's before I, not dissing anyone I worked with early in my career, but that's before I, found people that I agreed with me in that way of being like, yeah, what do we do? It's not worth it. Because like, I also think, what is one day in the grand scheme of things? So just, if it doesn't work today, you do it tomorrow. And if that means on one day you go and have a coffee or get a drink or go get food or just go sit in the sun with whoever you're with, then that's perfect. Sorry, that was a very long answer, but I think that's the truth.
No, I love that. Thank you. Thank you for telling us the truth. Do you, I think it's one thing that we've definitely discovered with talking to a number of songwriters on this very podcast is that it is always like, it's terribly cliche, but it is like a journey that you're continuing to find what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and what ultimately kind of makes the job easier for you to feel satisfied with what you're putting out there and completing.
100%. Yeah, definitely. There's no other way to put it, I think.
With the mention of heading into album territory, I guess first, and I know that we're talking about the EP, but how are you feeling about heading into this next stage? Because it is a big, not to put any pressure on you, it is obviously the debut.
Yeah. I'm excited. I think I think there's a lot of people, whether people like yourselves or even people at the label or, friends of mine being like, whoa, like, are you feeling excited? And I think I need to, if I think about that too much, I'll get stressed out. But I think I feel good about it. I think I know what I'm doing. And I think, it's such a weird self-confidence thing. Like, I feel like, as I said before about not taking myself very seriously, I definitely don't. But I think you do need to have a little part of you that remembers, like, no, you're here for a reason. And like, it sounds wanky, and I really don't mean it to, but it's one of those things that's like, I can make an album. I know I have to tell myself that. I'm like, I can, and I know what I'm doing. And it's, I know what it will be about, and I know what the videos are going to look like. I know what the name of it's going to be. I know what the cover it, I know how to do all this. So I think if I just keep that in my head and push through, and I think just don't stop, basically, then it'll hopefully be a breeze. So so far I feel pretty good about it. I've got some songs written, and I'm going into a session today to write some more as well. So it'll be good. Right, guys? Right?
We've got our fingers crossed for you. We're very excited for you, and hopefully, whenever it does come out down the track, please come back and have a chat with us about the album.
I would love that.
I guess the nice thing about releasing music in 2023 is the fact that I think that the old model, or the traditional model, did used to be, you release 2 singles, maybe an EP, and then an album. And with the fact that we've got streaming services, we've got the internet, Bandcamp, whatever artists want to use, you've almost got that. As you said, you've done this before. You've released multiple EPs, multiple releases. You've got and not to be sucking up to while you're here, but you've got the charisma of a seasoned pro. So I don't think that there's going to be any issue when we do come to that debut album. And I know that a lot of fans are excited about it as well, judging from the online reaction to this EP already.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, I hope so. I think I want it to be, I think I've done 3 EPs now. No, 3? 4? Well, fuck, 4. This is going to be 4. I think I'm super ready for fans and myself to be in album world. I think, that's as you say, that's a big statement. It's a big moment. And I think that I want that to be my next, I'm excited for that to be the next, like stepping stone, next, goal, I think. So yeah, I'm very excited.
Yeah, no. Very, very fair. I'm wondering, Thomas, if we can, I know we're talking about the future, if we can go back to the past, what originally drew you to songwriting? I guess, what was it that originally made you think, yeah, I want to do that and sit down and compose, write, whatever it is?
I think, specific examples, as you said before with the 75 thing, my sister used to bring me to shows of all these artists that were playing in Australia for the first time. And they were really small shows, which was super exciting. And she used to play their music in the car and this and that and everything. And, that was the likes of 21 Pilots, the 1975, Ed Sheeran, all these people that within 3 years of her introducing me to them, I loved the music originally. And that was, I think, the first time I've ever had music shoved down my throat that wasn't from my mum, and it was from my cool big sister who or docs. So I was well, cool. And so I think within 3 years of seeing that explode, it was one of those things that I was like, oh, it's possible, but it's one of those things where I think I was so, it sounds very lame, but very inspired by the fact that they took this tiny thing and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And they were still the same song that we were listening to in the car from 3 years ago. So, which was so exciting. And I think that's, that really drove me to get into doing it and trying it. But I've always loved music. I used to, when I was a child, I used to anytime we had a ledge in my house, a raised bit, whether it's going into the living room or even a step, I used to put on these theatre shows for my mum. And looking back, it's just the worst thing ever. And I have videos and at one point. So it was The Lion King for 3 hours with my plush toys. But I've always loved it. But I think, getting into it at maybe 13 to 15 age, that was due to my sister taking me to shows and showing me all these artists that then just became the biggest artists in the world. So it was super interesting to see that, I think. Yeah.
That's awesome. Do you, I know obviously you're in London, your family is in Australia, and I know this has been talked about for the last number of years, so I'm not going to harp on it too much in terms of any of the differences. I'm curious, do you still get to enjoy many gigs with your sisters now with the distance between, obviously?
No, don't. Our last gig together was Post Malone at Rod Laver Arena.
Awesome.
Which was, but I'm very lucky now. I actually said to her the other day, which was a really sweet message. I was like, I can't believe I get to. It was the first time I think I've ever been this is cool to her. But I was like, I can't believe I get to say this. But do you want me to? I know a couple. Sounds really wanky. I don't like saying it like this.
No judgment.
Guys with who work with 75, and I texted her and was like, do you want me to see if they can get you tickets? And I managed to make it work, and it was a nice full circle moment, which was very sweet. But no, we don't get to go together anymore. But more so now, she just texts me to see if I can get tickets for, which is kind of offensive. But I'll let her have it. It's fine.
I get that you kind of gave her the introduction. She gave you the introduction to music, but it seems like at some point there's got to be a cap for repaying back, I imagine.
Yeah, you're right. I agree. So, how many guest list tickets is that?
Speaking of going to gigs with your sister, and I know this is a terrible segue, but I'll acknowledge it. Can we expect to maybe see you? I think you were down here in Australia, I want to say last year in 2022.
Yeah, I think it was like April or May last year, I think. Yeah.
Yes. Can we expect to possibly see you back anytime soon in support of the EP?
Actually, I was there this Christmas, but I didn't play any shows. Can you? I would love to. I don't think anything. I haven't heard anything at the moment, but I opened for Remy Wolf. Never mind. I opened for Remy Wolf in January. Yes, I remember that. No, I do. That was fun, but that was not a headline. But headline stuff, I'd love to. Some festivals. Australian festivals are the best ever. They're my favorite vibe of festivals ever. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the Australian in me just comes out, and I just feel so at home. But the vibe of Australian festivals is great. So I don't have anything planned at the moment, but I really hope that this, maybe more so towards the end of the year, over summer, I can get down and play some shows, which would be very exciting.
Even if it's not for shows, even if there are simply, as you said before, Christmas, even if it's just family obligations, I know Australia will be glad to have you back for an extended period of time.
I love it. Last time I really want to put this on the record. Last time I came back to Australia, it was the peak of COVID. And I did one of those quarantine hotels for 2 weeks. And the amount of preparation stuff there was, I don't know, I really just want to put this out of the world. The amount of preparation stuff there was to when I was here, it was I had to get these forms signed by this person. My mum had to do this thing. It was crazy. And I got there and the guy at Border Patrol and I was like, hi. And he goes, oh, hi. Are you back for Chrissy, mate? Yeah, go on. was most lovely Border Patrol man. Back for Chrissy, mate. I loved it. Anyway, I enjoyed it a lot.
That might speak to what you were saying before about the festival crowd. So something about the Australian public that is just a little bit more relaxed or not friendly. What's the word? As you said, exactly. Yeah. Thomas, we would usually ask our guests what they're currently listening to. I will get to that in a second. I wanted to put a slight variation on it for yourself today because I did hear somewhere this year that you're trying to read more. You're trying to read more books.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I want to ask how that's going and what you're currently reading, or if you've got any recommendations from what you've already read.
It's going good. Yeah, I've read a couple. I've read way more than I've ever read. At the moment, I'm reading The Creative Act by Rick Rubin. Very good book. I think I think he's one of those people that is just a world full of advice. And I think even if you're not a musician, I think you can take it into, I assume you could take it into a million different fields of whatever you're in and just come out with something better, I think. But other than that, what else? My mum got me one of those financial, what's it called? I can't find it, but it's a financial advice book. Pretty good. If anyone needs financial advice, I'd probably recommend that one. I'm a Creative Act. Very good. If I read any more, I'll let you know next time we do this.
Please. I'm very the Rick Rubin book is the next one on my list, so I'm very curious to see what you think of it when you finish it because very excited about that. As we mentioned, we usually ask what they're currently listening to. Is there anything that is currently on your record player, your streaming service, on high rotation?
High rotation at the moment is Dancing in the Courthouse by Dominic Fike. I'm on a huge Dominic Fike train. I think his album's about to come out as well, which I probably shouldn't say because my EP's coming out or is out. So go listen to that. But no, I'm on a huge Dominic Fike train right now. So I'm very excited for his album. And when that comes out, that's all I'm going to be listening to, I think, for the next 3 years.
Look, that is very fair. And as you said, both releases can come out and both can be celebrated and people can be excited about. Thomas, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast and congrats on 6 songs that Thomas Headon likes and thinks that you would too. And we, as we said at the start, we do. So, but yeah, thanks again for coming onto the podcast, mate.
Lovely. Thank you, Simon. It's very sweet of you. It's been a pleasure.
Imagine the softest sheets you've ever felt. Now imagine them getting even softer over time. That's what you'll feel with Bowl and Branch's best-selling signature sheets in 100% organic cotton. In a recent customer survey, 96% replied that Bowl and Branch sheets get softer with every wash. Start getting your best night's sleep in sheets that get softer and softer for years to come. Try their sheets with a 30-night guarantee. Plus, get 15% off your first order at bowlandbranch.com, code BUTTERY. Exclusions apply. See site for details.